These days, there is never a shortage of news on the COVID shot mandate and the government's heavy hand attempting to get a jab into every American arm. USA Today reported earlier that almost 1 million kids ages 5 through 11 were jabbed in the first days of youth vaccine rollout. The Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, was quoted by CBS Face the Nation as saying, considering the widespread availability of vaccines and treatment against COVID-19, there should, quote, be no need for remote or hybrid learning. Now, what does this mean for potential COVID-19 vaccine mandates for kids? Well, we look at what the Secretary of Education said over the weekend on a TV program. Let's play that clip of Secretary Cardona.
Should we expect elementary school age kids to soon face requirements?
You know, we've made strong recommendations that states work with their health partners to make them accessible and communicate the importance of it, and where necessary, require it.
Well, what does that mean? Joining me now to talk about this is someone who's been intimately involved in pushing back against the mandates for members of our military, for businesses engaged in interstate commerce, for essential workers, as well as urging the CDC to acknowledge natural immunity from COVID-19, is Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi. Senator, welcome back to the program. Senator, do we have Senator Wicker?
Still trying to get.
Senator, welcome to the program. Oh, well, we don't have him yet. We'll see when we get him. So here's if I were a betting man, I'm not, but if I were, I would say the odds are that you're going to see mandates for children with the vaccine, the shot. Whether it comes from the federal government, what we see now the federal government doing, as you just heard from the Secretary of Education, is that we're recommending states do this. Now, they may ultimately tie it to funding. Of course, they may push some of the local officials to do. I mean, who knows? But I would venture to say it's coming. Well, joining us now to talk more about this is Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi. Senator, welcome to the program.
Well, Tony, thanks for having me on, and sorry for the technical glitch there. Let me also say, first of all, thank you for mentioning the Mississippi pro-life case. This could be the most important Supreme Court case dealing with life in decades. And also, I appreciate your previous segment on Taiwan. So I know that's not the reason for this interview, but thank you for mentioning that. But yes, I do think that I think the administration and health authorities that believe in authoritarianism and central planning, I think they have totally misread the American people on this issue. I think there's going to be a huge pushback from people who really would prefer to make their own decisions about this.
Well, I know you've been working closely with your governor. We had your governor on the program earlier in the week, and Mississippi was a part of the case that went before the Fifth Circuit that resulted in the present stay that's been issued. What are the next steps from a congressional standpoint? I know Republicans are in the minority, but it's a very slight minority in the Senate, and you have a lot of tools at your disposal there in the Senate.
We'll have some opportunities to get for every senator to take a vote on this issue. We may not have the votes to get it passed, but at the end of the day, folks all across the nation will know how their representatives and senators stand on this issue, because we can bring about a vote. It may be on a unanimous consent. It may be, if they bring reconciliation up again, we have what we call a vote-a-rama. It lasts on into the night. But we will offer an amendment somehow to get senators and representatives on the record about this. And I think when folks start realizing they're going to lose their job, even though they have immunity, even though they have conscientious objections to putting something in their body that they don't quite feel comfortable about, I think there's going to be I think there's going to be an economic downturn, and I think there's going to be a political revolt.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, we're seeing that economic impact right now. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the program. I want to go to one other issue before we run out of time. You have joined with one of your colleagues, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, in offering an amendment to the Defense Authorization Act, which current language would require women for the first time in our nation's history to register for the draft. What's the status on that?
Well, I think we'll get an amendment. And again, that's what we're hoping to do. Senator Hawley and people who've signed on to his amendment, we're hoping to take that out on the floor. First thing we need to do is get Chuck Schumer to actually take up the bill. This is a matter that has been passed on a bipartisan basis every year for 60 years, and here it is almost Thanksgiving. And Chuck Schumer will not even bring it to the floor. It's passed the House. And so bring the bill up and let us have an amendment. And again, I'll be voting to take that out. You know, we're probably never going to have a draft. But the idea of putting your little girl or your granddaughter on a troop train is I think something that Americans aren't ready for.
Yeah, and the polling would suggest that's absolutely true. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. Always great to talk with you. Look forward to seeing you maybe in Mississippi when we're there at the end of the month.
Sorry about the technical glitch.